All right. You're listening to the Gopher Broke podcast. We're back at it again. We're going to have an interesting show for you today. Nothing crazy, but also a little bit of craziness. I don't know how you can describe something like that, but you'll get it when you see it. We're going to talk about NIL. We're going to tier the Big Ten, and we got a couple shout outs and a couple gripes. We'll get to it all here today. What up, y'all? You're listening to the Gopher Broke podcast, coming at you once every week, all year long. We're talking Gophers football, nothing but Gophers football. That's a lie. We're going to mention a little bit of Gophers basketball today, but the main focus is Gophers football. Once a week, it's off season. Spring football is in full effect. No updates on spring football from us right here, right now, because this is the only week we don't have an open practice, but the next two shows should have some updates on how spring practice is going, maybe how the depth chart could be shaking out, even though we won't know the depth chart till fall if we're being for real. But you know what? There's lots of time and lots of topics to cover in this off season. So if you ever have thoughts, ideas, suggestions, drop them in the comments over on YouTube. Hit us with a DM over on Twitter. You can hit Tristyn at Spann-Ford 22, or you can find me at Gophers Kane Rob. But Tristyn, how you doing? How you feeling? Let's talk to the Gophers folks.
I am doing good. Doing good. You got that feeling where spring ball's right around the corner, and that just means football's coming. It feels good. I'm excited. So excited.
Yes, sir. I feel that. I feel that every time a Gophers drop a highlight, I see my boy Drake Lindsay just dropping dimes. So you love to see that. Of course, they're never going to put a bad clip of Drake Lindsay in their social media hype videos, but it's always Drake Lindsay. You might get a random Dylan Whitkey, you might get a random Zach Pyron, but I'd like to go back to my tweet about 2 to 3 weeks ago saying, this is not a competition. I don't care. PJ can look me in my optic stems and tell me, yeah, these guys are competing. We're rotating QB1 snaps. But no, you're not. No, you're not. Stop lying. Just cut the crap.
You lying.
Drake, you're QB1. Don't mess it up, and you'll keep it. It's that simple. Like, it's crazy. But before we get into the actual Gophers talk, we got to get into the gripes. We got 2 gripes here, one each. I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I'm actually handing out the first Gopher Broke podcast suspension. So,
ooh, okay.
I'm suspending Anthony Smith 1 podcast. He is not allowed to listen to this show. This podcast, he's not allowed to listen for the stunt he pulled on Twitter yesterday. Under no circumstance, for the people who are not on Twitter, he posted a graphic, and it's the exact same format of every single player who has ever transferred, every single player who has ever decided to enter the NFL draft. He posted it, and it looked just like that.
Yep.
And it was egregious. And it wasn't that. He was just saying, what's up? That's all he was saying is, I'm excited for the season. Which
he was like, yo,
but don't
I love being a Gopher.
That. You don't need a graphic for that, dog. Just tweet it. That was, I don't know who was in his corner saying we need to make this graphic look like this. But I was my heart sunk. As soon as I saw it, I was like, stop.
Bro, even the coaches were retweeting this thing too. I was like, what is happening? Because it was like I'm excited to be a Gopher. Come out and see us at our spring practice and come see us at our first game. And I was like, when I first saw it, I saw the graphic image. I didn't read it yet because, the print is a little small. You got to go hit the picture and go in on there.
I'm looking at the bottom for the NFL draft.
Right. I was like, wait, what? And I look at it, I was like, hold on. If it was the NFL draft, he would have been said something by now. We went through the whole, we just did pro day. So I was like, can't be NFL, right? And then I was like, oh no. And so you click on it and you got to zoom in so you could see the words. And I just saw Anthony Smith in the graphic picture, and I was like, oh, no. We're about to lose one of our best defensive linemen, our next NFL-type guy. Like, oh, my God. And then to see that, you are not wrong. And it wasn't even on April Fool's Day.
No, it wasn't even on
April Fool's Day.
He just did it. Listen, mistakes happen, but suspended. We all got to be punished. Suspended.
You're cut for one episode. Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. I'm going to go a different gripe, different sport, still Minnesota related. We're going to talk about the Timberwolves because Anthony Edwards got injured, ankle injury, which you had mentioned before we got on and started recording that Anthony Edwards is the pro of ankle injuries. Like this man just always bounces back, which good on him. That happens when you're 22. So, I mean, you still got that dexterity and whatnot. But why in the actual hell was the coach of the Brooklyn Nets that far down the bench? Like, bro, they got a whole little zone for you at the front where you can stand and walk and pace and do whatever you gotta do. But he decided, no, let me walk all the way down. And it's not like this is our end of like this. We're on our side attacking and shooting, so I can yell out things to our guys like swing the ball, look here, blah blah blah. Like I get that. Defensively, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Just let the
and to walk yourself down to where dudes actually shoot, and then he's bouncing backwards after a shot and trips over the coach and gets injured. Like, what are you doing, dog? I'm not even saying that he did it on purpose, but come on. Like, that should be a fine in itself for him being that far down. And I'm not even a Timberwolves fan. Come on now, man. Just crazy. Just crazy.
I was watching it too. It is that was egregious, but like I said before, Anthony Edwards is the master of ankle injuries. He just be going down with an ankle. Sometimes I think he just want to be taken out the game real quick, just to get a quick breather. Because he goes down with the ankle every single game I watch, and then he's just he's back, he's fine. Like then he's yamming on somebody. Like it's crazy.
Hey, you better hope he figures that out in the next like 3-4 years, though, because once you hit, I'm telling you, actually it'll probably be the next 3 years, because once you turn 25, your body is just different. And I know people might laugh at that, but like it's for real. Like the ankle injury that you could bounce back from, the hangover that you could bounce back from, it's different. 25, your body said, "Welcome to real life, son."
Like, just getting out of bed is an Olympic event.
Exactly. So he better figure it out in the next 3 years, because you don't want to be doing that no more. All right, but let's switch it up. Let's talk some Gophers. Before we get to the Gophers football, which is the focus of this podcast, I want to give a shout out to the Gophers women's basketball team. They won the WBIT tournament. That is the second best tournament, not the NCAA tournament. We didn't get in there this year. They had a case, but they had some struggles over the back half of the season. I didn't realize how bad the struggles were in the back half of the season, which kind of cuts deep. In their last 10 games, Trist, they lost 8 of them. If they would have won like 2 or 3 more, they would have been in the NCAA tournament, like locked. So hopefully they can get that solved. I know there were some injuries. I know there were some big things happening, but they got it done in the second tournament. This is back-to-back years now that they've been in a postseason tournament, gotten invited, and they got to the championship game last year, first year of Don Plitzwhite, lost in the game, and then they got to the championship in this one, second year with Don Plitzwhite, and won the whole dang thing. So look, this is me giving some love to the Gophers basketball team on the women's side of things, but also I'm going to let you know, I bought season tickets for next year because I'm ready for it to support in some way. But also, it should be criminal how cheap the Gophers women's basketball season tickets are right now. Bro, I went and looked. I got 2 tickets, full season, 5th row, for $300. Like, bro, sign me up. I'm good.
What?
Yeah, sign me up. Right behind the benches, we gonna see the players get introed and everything. Like,
that's dope. Okay, that's kind of crazy. $300 is insane.
Right. So this is my calling to all the Gophers fans. It's time to support and show love for the women's team. I know the men's team is on the come up as well with the new head coach. But look, go get these Gophers women's basketball. Right. Well, those ones are a little more expensive, even though they're on the come up. I think 2 tickets was like $2,000. So a little bit of a difference. But let's say. I'm going to give a shout out to the Gophers women's basketball team. I'm also going to shout out all Gophers fans. It's time to get out there and support them because they just won a postseason tournament. They were in the championship for a different postseason tournament back-to-back years, and now you got them ready to break through, get to the NCAA tournament. And I'm not talking just get there. I think they're going to win games. You're talking about a team that just did so well this season, won 25 games, and their best player was hurt after Game 5. Yeah. And a rotational player that they used was hurt after Game 12. Like, this team is returning 10 girls back to the squad, including 7 rotation or starter players. Like, they're ready to break through. It's time to get in there, get Joe season tickets. This team's going to be dangerous. So I want to give a shout out to them. But let's talk some Golden Gophers football. Let's talk the big question in all sports for college right now, a little bit of NIL talk. So I want to get into a little bit of curious conversation when it comes to the NIL because, Tristyn, I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think NIL could start damaging programs? Do you think it could hurt the culture for programs? Like, what if you were on the team? You've been growing in the program. You maybe high 3-star guy, low 4-star guy, something like that. You committed. You were rolling. You were ready to go. High hopes across the fan base. And then, like, you've been here a year, maybe 2 years. You've been here 2 years. That's the example. We'll say you've been here 2 years. And then all of a sudden the Gophers, they go and get some dudes in the transfer portal too. Same position. They might not have even played a whole bunch. They played a little bit here and there, did some work, but not like that guy type of dude. Mm-hmm. You're both going to be competing for the same spot. But would it start to take you off or hurt you? Or how would you be feeling if you found out, like, oh, they're making like 3 times more than me and they never been here. They don't know our culture. Like, do you think that could start hurting programs? And I'm not even saying the Gophers specifically, but just in general, do you think that that type of mindset or these money games as they continue to develop could start hurting programs?
I think they definitely could, based on, especially like not necessarily our program, but I think definitely smaller schools, like places that aren't established, that don't have a culture. When I think about it, to put into words, I could see it eating at you, but I think you're also competing at, I mean, to this point, you're competing at the highest level you have competed at. So I would think that you have that kind of that inner itch in you to be like, okay, whatever, I'm still competing. I want this spot. I don't really care how much he's getting paid more than me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more or less, how should I say it? It's going to weed out guys, I think. I think it's going to weed out guys who are there for a paycheck and who want to get paid right now. Because if I'm a guy who's like, okay, I'm never going to go pro, I want to make as much money as I can right now doing this, which is a weird mind state to have if you're playing college football. You think you'd want to go pro. But it's going to weed out guys who are like, okay, I don't want to sit behind this guy who's making more than me. What are my options to stay here, make what I'm making now, or try to go to, would you make a lateral move and hope they offer you more money? So I think it's not necessarily going to affect cultures of places, because I don't think that's a guy you want in your culture. That's not a culture guy. You know, somebody who's not willing to be like, I'm here to ride with my guys. Like, I'm here for this team, not how much money I'm putting in my account. I don't think that's a culture guy. So I don't think it will. Because if you want to be there and you want to be a part of this squad, then you're going to be there regardless of what you're getting paid, and you're going to work your butt off regardless of what you're getting paid. So I think it'll maybe even have some benefits to where you're getting rid of guys who are like, nah, like I'm not going to stay here if I'm not getting paid as much as the dude in front of me. How about you got to put in the work and play more than him. I could understand like yeah, you've been there for 3 or 4 years, but by then, like, I don't know, what's your mind state? Like, I'm there. I'm here. This is my team. Like, I'm willing to be here and I want to be here. And if it's bothering you that much, I feel like then you just go, right?
Right. No, I could see it both sides, because, like, I'm like, okay, I've been here 2 years, right? And they're bringing in another dude who hasn't proven it either. And, like, if we're both competing for the spot, like, it's not like, oh, they should just get the spot sort of thing. Like, oh, they're coming with an all conference team under their belt and all this. Like, at that point, you're like, okay, you know what they're coming in to do. Like, they brought this dude in for a reason. But if it's like, okay, they're hoping, their fingers are crossed, this dude could be that type of guy, but I also could be that type of guy. I think you're right. I think that it could be a driving factor. It could it could irk you or bug you a little bit, add a little bulletin board material to, like, oh, you want to pay him more? I'm going to show you why that's wrong. I'm the 4-star guy. I'm the high 3-star guy that you wanted, and I'm going to show you why you were right in that regards. But for me, at least from my mindset, and I hope that this is what it starts to become, is like each year you're earning your next paycheck, right? This isn't like the NFL where once you get that big signing, you're locked in for 4 or 5 years and, like, you can coast, you can do whatever. And, like, then you really find out who loves it, because the dudes who don't coast and push it, they're like, oh, those are the dudes who love ball and they want to be great and they want to be a GOAT. But in the college landscape, yes, you're getting paid. Yes, you'll probably get money throughout the 4 years or 5 years or whatever. But like, if you go and you grind and you grit and you show like I'm gonna beat him out even though he's getting paid more than me right now or something like that, come next year, he's not gonna be getting paid more than you. Come next year, you're gonna get a bump in NIL. You're gonna be the guy that they're like, yo, Dinky Town athletes, we gotta find a way to keep him here. We need to increase his pay. So I look at it as a year to year making that money. If you can go out there and not only scrap, show you love ball, and beat that dude out, the money will come and the money will fix itself. The money will get right at that point. So I think that if you look at it that way, I think that's where you can maybe start to not worry about the culture too much, because the culture is what should keep people wanting to be here.
Yeah.
And that grit and that mentality to be better, to win the job like you would before money existed in college sports, which is probably like the 1920s, if we're being honest with yourself. But before it was allowed to be out there, people were scrapping because they wanted to A, win the job, B, get to the NFL. So it's like that's still a motivating factor. And if you are doing things to set yourself up for that, the money will come and follow along.
I definitely agree. I think it's just so like the NIL thing. I mean, we're not even, what are we, 5 years into NIL? 6 years?
I don't even know if we're 5. I think it started in 2021. So
Yeah, so
4
like
and a
we're
half.
not. It's so new that I think that there's going to end up being, right now it's just the Wild Wild West, and I think that has a huge thing to do with it. Like I don't know. I don't have an answer or how to make it better. I don't know if it needs to be a tier system where you're like, okay, if you've been on the team for 1 to 2 years, you're eligible for this much money in NIL money, and you've been here for 3 years and you haven't transferred out, you're eligible for this much. But if you just transferred in and this is your 1 year, you have to go back down to that first tier of money. I don't have the answer. I don't know what it would be, but I think it will eventually figure itself out, and then college football fans will find a new thing to be upset about, because
That's true.
College football fans.
That's true. That's fair. You're on the right track there. I do like the idea of the tiers you're bringing up. Also, somebody brought up, they tweeted, and they're kind of trolling, but I kind of liked the thought process. They tweeted out a Premier League photo when somebody brought up, like, a coach brought up, hey, like if a dude gets enough, like he was at like a low major school for college basketball, and he was like, if I'm getting dudes offers to go get nabbed up by a G5 or get it was football actually. He was like a FCS school. He's like, if I'm getting dudes offers to go get nabbed up by a G5 or a Power 4 school, I should get paid for that. I should get a bonus for getting that guy.
Love that.
And then somebody put the Premier League, because that's like what soccer does. Yep. If you have a team that wants to come and buy you out and take you from your old team, then your old team gets compensated for that move. They get paid for you to go on to another thing, so that both programs are getting something out of it. But then on top of that, if you think about the Premier, I would love if soccer, we could take a lot of those different concepts, like the way people get paid or buyouts or things like that. Maybe that could start to slow things down. But then also, if we're going to start getting to these super conferences, which it seems like it's heading that direction with the SEC, the Big Ten, then you got next up is Big 12, ACC, and then beyond that, it's like Pac-12 and Mountain West and all this stuff, and then FCS. You know what I'm saying? Like tier. If we're going to get to that, we should start doing relegations. Like, you should be in that top league. You're in the Big Ten, you're in the SEC, and the bottom 3 teams, y'all get bumped down to the ACC. We'll take the best 3 ACC schools, move them up to the Big Ten. Take the worst 3 Big Ten schools, move them down to the ACC. You get demoted, and like, you got to earn your way to be in one of those super conferences. I think the interest for college football would skyrocket if they did something like that. Like, if we're gonna get rid of regionals, we're gonna get rid of the concept of a real Big Ten in the Midwest, the Pac-12 on the West, and all that, and we're gonna get away from regions. Then make them earn their spots in the best conferences and let it be competitive. Because then maybe the Gophers, I don't want to use the Gophers. Let's use a team I don't like. Maybe Northwestern isn't good enough to be in the Big Ten.
You basically just made Northwestern FC.
No, maybe they're not good enough to be in the Big Ten, and they get demoted. Or Purdue, they didn't even win a damn conference game last year. They should be demoted, move them down to the ACC or something like that. And if they can't win there, move them down again the next year. But guess what? Once they hit the conference they should be in, they'll start competing and they'll start actually putting up a fight for the Mountain West Conference Championship and trying to get back to, yo, we want to be back in the Big Ten. We want to be back in the ACC. Like, and it makes teams earn it. I think that would be so fun in college football if they could find a way to make that happen.
That would be insane. The chaos. People would be so mad all the time. I would love that. I would love that.
Can you imagine the shit talking there if like Wisconsin got demoted and we were like, oh yo, where y'all at? And you can still keep maybe like
See on the
2, 3
this year.
But maybe you keep 2 to 3 non-conference games, so that way you can still keep a rivalry here. They're the top ones, the best ones. So that way, if they ever get demoted, you can still keep that rivalry going. But also imagine just the fan base shit talking. If you're like, "Hey yo, Iowa, where y'all at? I ain't seen you in the Big Ten in what, 4 years now? Like, what's it been?" Like, it would just get crazy.
I do like that. I love the idea of coaches getting like if you get how many guys that get moved up or get sent up, like just maybe like you get a more NIL money pooled. Like it goes into like a pool that you're like, okay, we get this much because we had 5 guys go up to a G4 school.
That's right. You want to come and nab my Phillip Daniels, Ohio State? All right, bet. You're going to pay me at least $10 million. Yeah, and we're going to add that to our NIL so we can go pay our other guys to stay here.
That's what it's got to be. Like, they got to figure out some guidelines with NIL. Like you got cats. Look at like what was it? Quinn Ewers, when he took all that money from Ohio State and didn't even finish spring ball. Like, there's no guardrails. Cats are just signing deals. Who is it? The quarterback at Cal, who had all that NIL money and then retired. He just said, "I'll take my money and go home." Like, I think it was, I can't remember what quarterback it was, but he signed a bunch of NIL deals and then just retired. Like,
he was on that SpongeBob grind. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out."
It's crazy. Like, it is chaos right now. Like, I do think it'll settle itself out, but it's going to be a few years. It's not going to be next year. It's not going to be year after, but it'll figure itself out. I don't think NIL is going to affect culture as much as people are worried it is right now, because I just don't think, I think these guys are there to compete. I think if you're at this level of college football and playing at this level, more likely than not, you're there because you want to be at that school and you want to compete to get to the next level. I think there's very few kids who are not competitive enough to be like, I'm just going to be mad about him having a job ahead of me, or him being mad that he's going to get paid more than me and I've been here longer. I think it's more like you're going to just find out those guys who are there who are entitled to think that they are just supposed to be there, that they don't have to work to be there. So,
right, who loves ball and who wants a paycheck? Exactly, that's what we're going to figure out.
That's what it's going to come down to, I think. Which I think would be an all-time, but that would be a good thing. So,
I feel you. All right, we're going to have fun with the end of this show. We're going to get back into some Gophers and Big Ten talk, more so Big Ten as a whole. So if you're looking for specific Gophers, like, we'll be back at it again next week, talking some spring practice insights and things like that. But we're going to talk about, one, what tier do you think the Gophers fall in when it comes to the Big Ten? We're going to tier out the entire Big Ten. How many tiers will that be? Maybe there's 5, maybe there's 6. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk through it here with you live. We haven't prepped this. We're just kind of going to go with the flow and see what happens.
Never do,
because we don't do research. We don't do research. Yes. But so we're going to tier out the Big Ten after the first year of having 18 teams. And so we'll figure out where those new schools fell. Are they going to be on the rise? Are they going to be on the fall? What's going to happen there? Where are the Gophers falling? So much more. So let's get into it. Tier 1, we'll kick it off right away. I'm curious to know how many teams you think are in the Tier 1, and also, what does Tier 1 mean? Does it mean that you're going to win the Big Ten? Does it mean that you have a shot at a natty? Like, what does Tier 1 mean to you?
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of looking at it right now, and I think there is 4, maybe 5 teams, but 4 for sure in that Tier 1. There's got to be 4.
So what is Tier 1 to you then? Is it winning the Big Ten, or is it having a shot at actually winning like a natty or something?
I'm thinking natty.
Okay.
Wait,
I can see it either way.
Teams. I'm going natty. I'm going 4 teams that could potentially win a natty
I'm with you.
Name
Let's
the
go
other
with
three.
this. Let's say tier one is you could win a natty. Tier two, so if you're in one or two, you could win the whole Big Ten. You're in the
Oh, yeah.
competition to actually win the whole thing. And once you get outside of tier two, that's where you're like maybe on the verge and things like that, and we can go from there. But yeah,
Yeah,
tier
yeah.
one will say you have a shot at winning the actual national championship.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I'm definitely you got. I mean, top three: Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State.
Yeah, you said that in the wrong order though, because you have to say Ohio State first. They just won it. We
Yeah,
got to
oh,
give
yeah,
credit
yeah,
where
yeah.
credit's
I'm
due,
looking at the
even
way I
if they're
have it.
not
I have the
actually.
Big Ten rankings pulled up right now. You're
I
lucky I
feel
didn't
you.
throw
I feel
Indiana
you.
in there.
Yeah, no, you're lucky you didn't throw Indiana in there. You were like roasted in the first set. You just said Indiana tier one? Are you new?
Not a
You don't think
chance.
he doesn't know
Not a
ball? That's
chance.
what you just saw on all the comments. This dude don't know ball. Like, what's happening?
That's what I should just start doing every episode, just to get people riled up. Just say some outlandish things.
All right, I'm with you though. At least those three. I say Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. There's too many states, too many O's.
Way
It
too many
started to
states.
mash together for me.
Way too many.
I might be dyslexic. I actually might be. I don't know. I feel like I see that a lot where things start to mash together and I start reading different words and all that. But anyways,
Yeah.
I've got the three. I don't have anybody else on that fourth. I know you could say Michigan. They just won a championship 2 years ago, but like, I don't know. They didn't even.
This year
I can't do it.
definitely no, but you don't know the
Yeah.
recruiting class. Like they could recruit anyone they want, probably still.
Oh, they got a
So
nasty
that's why it's
recruiting
hard to
class this
leave
year.
them out of that top tier,
Right,
just based
right. I
on
feel
past practice. So
I'm going to put them in tier two for myself. I'm
no,
going
I
to put
like
Michigan.
it. I like it. I agree with that.
So Michigan's in tier two, but who else would be in that tier then?
If I'm putting tier two, yeah.
Do you believe in an Indiana to get up there again? I
Don't.
personally don't. I need
No,
you to prove it again
I
before I
love
can
their
put you up
coach.
there.
I love their coach, but
Bro, when a coach tells you to Google him, I got respect.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Like you brought it, and then like first you said Google me, and then you won.
yeah,
Then you went
yeah.
8-1 in the conference, 11-2 on the season.
Nuts.
I'm gonna Google you now. I'm gonna Google.
Nuts. Yeah, like that was crazy. That was crazy. But that's my thing is though, JMU last year, or not last year, year before, very good. And he basically just took the whole JMU team with him. And I mean, he's probably going to have some guys coming back, but I don't see it again. I don't see it again this year. But I got like Illinois. Would you put him in that tier too? I put Illinois up there.
Illinois is like right there for me. Like, here's my dilemma. I think if you're going just based off of last year and we're talking about a tier for solely looking at next year, which I kind of do think that's what we're saying. If that's what we're saying, I think, yes, Illinois has a shot at winning the Big Ten next year if everything went perfect. And so I would put them in tier two, at least to be in that Big Ten championship game, like competing for it. If things went right,
that's what makes
it
hard though, because those like Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, like they're probably gonna they're gonna win the Big Ten. They would be odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten
for sure. But it takes an injury, and then all of a sudden, boom, one of them's out of the race. You know what I mean?
That's true. A couple losses, a couple ugly losses.
Right, or Michigan comes back, and all of a sudden, Penn State's taking L's, and Oregon lost their quarterback, and then Ohio State can't beat Michigan for some reason again, and all of a sudden you're talking about Michigan versus somebody, you know what I mean? Like, I could see Michigan, I could see Illinois. I don't know if I'm going to put anybody else in the conversation. I think you can maybe make an argument for Iowa just based on history. They've been constantly up there, but like,
I have a feeling
Caleb Johnson's not there.
I'm nervous about Iowa this year. I'm nervous about
Iowa. I don't know anything about any of their tight ends this year, which is like the first time in history that I don't know when an Iowa tight end that's coming through. Their defense is going to be good, like it always is. Yeah. I don't know who. They're going to have some white dude playing at defensive back. Always. They're going to have some nasty linebacker who's a stud. Like, it's just going to happen. But I think I would leave it at those two teams in tier two, and I would put Iowa, who's close, in tier three. I would put USC. I don't even know if I'm ready to put USC there. No, I'm gonna just put Iowa in tier
I think we're in a new tier already. That's what I keep looking at. I'm like,
so you think Iowa's? Oh, where's Indiana though? Are they in tier three with Iowa? I mean, based off of last year, based off of Kurt Signetti, Google me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll put him in that tier then. I'll put him in that tier based on Kurt Signetti alone. Put him in that tier.
So
put him in that.
Okay,
tier.
We'll put him in tier three.
Okay.
So then, is that it though, or does does anybody else start to creep in?
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Now that we're talking Indiana, we start to talk like I feel like the Gophers could be in there. I don't know.
I feel like, yeah, no, I feel like it starts to get interesting where the
Murky now.
Gophers could be in the conversation. USC, if they get things straightened away, could be in the conversation.
Michigan State might be able to recruit still too. That's what I'm saying. They haven't been good in a couple of years, but I don't know why.
I was gonna say, dog, Michigan State was 5-7. They got to prove to me something before I put them in any sort of
Were they
top 4 tiers.
They were only 3-6 though.
How about this? We'll flip it. Now that we're at this point where we're starting to get into weird territory, let's go to the bottom tiers. Let's say there's 6 tiers. So we'll go to the bottom tier. Who is absolutely in the doghouse? It's got to be Purdue. They didn't win a single conference game.
Maryland,
Look,
basketball school.
I already gave you Northwestern as my relegation school, so like
You already wrote them out of the Big Ten.
I already wrote them down to the FCS at this point, so you might as well put them in tier 6. Is there anybody else I would put in tier 6?
I mean, if we're going off of this last year, Wisconsin. Oh, nah, I wouldn't. I don't. Okay, so I think those 3 are the bottom tier. I don't.
Yeah.
That's the last tier.
I agree.
So now we're working at this murky spot in the middle where we have a bunch of 3 and 6 teams, 4 and 5 teams.
So here's where I think I would start to lean. I think I would go. UCLA would be in tier 5 for me, just above the worst one. Yep. They had moments, but like, bro, all I can think about is that head coach's press conference where he
like he didn't know he was gonna have to talk.
He's like, "Oh, we're supposed to say words up here."
Should I have prepared something? It would have been awesome if they would have went like 9-0 though, and he just was a football guy. Like he's just a football guy. I'm not here to make speeches. I'm a football guy. Like, let me know when I need to be coaching.
So I'm putting UCLA down there, 3 and 6 in the conference last year, 5 and 7 overall. I'm gonna put Michigan State in that same tier, same record, same issues. I mean, I want to give Joe Rossi that little home bump, but I can't do it because they didn't show me anything that impressed me last year.
Yep. Nebraska.
And then, I'm going up 1 tier for Nebraska. They got to a bowl finally. They got a quarterback who's, I don't know if I should call him a mini Mahomes, which sounds disrespectful to Mahomes, or if I should just call him imposter Mahomes because he's like copy pasta, like he's copying everything on this dude. So I'm gonna put them in tier 4 right now for Nebraska.
I met a recruit for Nebraska.
No, you didn't.
When we were in Mexico. I met this dude at the bar, and he was like, "Well, he wasn't at the bar. We were at a restaurant. We were at a restaurant."
I was gonna say, bro, you about to get this recruit canceled?
No. We were at. It was at a restaurant. We weren't eating. It's like a sports bar. It was like a sports bar type place. And so he was huge or whatever. Him and his buddies were goofing around, and then they were messing with me, or we were talking to each other. And I was like, because he looked like Aiden Hutchinson. And so I was like, you look like Aiden Hutchinson. His buddies were going crazy. He just committed to Nebraska. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And so I was just chirping him a little bit. He seemed like a very cool kid. I cannot remember his name, but very cool kid.
He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but you haven't been able to beat us in however long." And
he was like, "Yeah, we got Matt Rule now. Matt Rule now."
You had Matt Rule when you lost the last time too. Yeah, so shout out to Buddy. I'm googling their class right now to start listing names for you, but we'll get back to that. When
you see him, he literally looks just like Aiden Hutchinson. Cool kid, super nice. Then we saw him the day we were leaving too. I dapped him up. It was cool, dude. I hope the best for him.
All right, so teams we're still kind of missing here. Wisconsin, I'm going to put them in the same tier as Nebraska right now.
Okay.
I think maybe it's benefit of the doubt, like, because they're technically record-wise not any better than UCLA or Michigan State. But look, they were like a field goal game with Oregon last year. There were certain games where it was just like, yo, Wisconsin is actually competing, and then there are other games where it's like, yo, Wisconsin's dead, bro. Like, they're gone. They're on the fall.
So bad. But they had their schedule wasn't great. They had to play Bama this year. Like, nobody wants that.
They got to play Bama next year too.
Hey, we're waiting on our turn. When are we playing? 2027?
No, I think it's even later than that. I think it's like 2030, bro. I think it's
not even a real year in my brain. That'll never get here.
Right. So Wisconsin will go tier 4. I think Washington. I think tier 4 with Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Yeah. But then, are you putting USC in that one too?
That's so right now I'm
USC and
really
Washington are the
stuck.
same in my brain right now, where they're
I'm really
programs.
I'm really stuck with the next. I think we only have three schools left, and I think it's Minnesota, it's Rutgers, and it's USC. And I'm really stuck on all of them because I could see a case for USC in three. I could see a case for Minnesota in three. I could see a case. I don't think I could see a case for Rutgers in three. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Rutgers
Yeah,
in
like that.
four.
Put them in 4.
Uh, so that feels right.
Even though
But
they
then,
beat
yeah,
us,
it comes
even
down
though
to
they
the
beat us last year.
yeah, they beat us last year. No, they didn't. We beat
Last year.
ourselves.
We're talking about
We
next
beat
year.
ourselves last year. They didn't
Yeah,
beat us.
there
We
it is.
beat
Yeah,
ourselves.
you're right.
So it comes down to USC and the Gophers, and I think most people are gonna be like, "Oh, y'all are homers. That's why you're saying they could be tier three." But like,
Yeah,
bro,
I would have put
the
them on tier
Gophers
1.
should have
Would have put
won
them on
10
tier 1.
games last season. They should have won 10 games last season. We
Oh,
won 8 games. The UNC game, our all conference kicker missed 2 field goals. Crazy, unreal, never happens.
Won't happen again.
That should and Darius Taylor didn't play.
Yep.
That should have been a dub. That's 9. The Rutgers game, we just talked about how we shot ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
We had a fumble in our own area, which basically ended that game. Just like some stupid mistakes. That would have been 10. And then you're talking about a 1-point loss to Penn State. You're talking about onside kick that we should have had to be able to go and score and win the game in Michigan. You're talking about we could have won 4 more games last year, had a 12-win season. Now, I don't think we were going to get to 12 regardless. But what I'm saying is Minnesota was in a different class last year. They were in that class, like not with the Ohio States and Oregons, Penn States, Indianas, and what have you, but they were in the same thing as like Michigan. They were just under Illinois. They beat Illinois last year, but it's like they were in that type of tier. And I think it would be I think I just talked myself into putting them in tier 3. Tier 3
I
because
agree.
I think the only thing holding them back and maybe falling into tier 4 is inexperience because of the draft guys that we're losing this year and maybe it taking a little bit longer. But the schedule tees us up to be able to hopefully not have to deal with any of those big time pains because you go take on a Buffalo, you take on a Northwestern State, and then you go on the road to Cal, which should be a winnable game as well. And that gets you ready for the Big Ten season. I think if they tee it up right like that, I think they'll find themselves in tier 3 by the time this season is over.
10-2. 10-2.
So that leaves USC. USC tier 3 or tier 4? What are you thinking?
I think I gotta go tier 4 then. Like I don't know. Like based on I don't know anything about their recruiting, but I cannot imagine it's hard to get dudes to live in California. Like
right,
go there. Like so they probably have a couple of athletes there, and they
have a five-star quarterback coming in.
Yeah. So go tier 3. Just put them tier 3.
Yeah, I feel like the brand itself is helping us bump them up a tier, but like, you know what? I would rather be on the right side of it in the long run than to look like an absolute idiot. But I think tier 3 is fine. And it also kind of evens our tiers out too, because then we have 3 in tier 1, 2 in tier 2, 4 in tier 3, 4 in tier 4, 2 in tier 5, and 3 in tier 6. It kind of evens everything out.
Maybe we should just put Purdue and Maryland in another tier after that and just put basketball schools. Tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, and basketball schools. Tier
Dog, somebody tried to chirp me on Twitter the other day. Somebody posted about Anthony Richardson because the dude's a Colts fan. I'm like, I'm cool with him. I wouldn't say we're friends, but like we jab at each other on Twitter and things like that. And somebody said like Anthony Richardson, they were like trolling Anthony Richardson and how he's like terrible. And I just put a laughing gif on it, like the two black ladies that look at each other and go, like that was what I put on there. And then the dude commented back, and he commented the Big Ten basketball standings and showed where Purdue was and showed where Minnesota was. And I was like, bro, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to do that. I was like, not only did you switch up from professional sports to college sports, but then you switched from football to basketball. So let's take your ginormous leap here, move it back a sport back to football. And I posted the Big Ten standings for football last year. And I was like, damn, it's hard to talk when you didn't win a single game in the conference. Like 0-9, my guy. 0-9.
No wins is crazy. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think we just put Maryland and Purdue as basketball schools.
I mean, Northwestern will be in the category here pretty soon, too.
I mean, damn. Wisconsin, I mean, Wisconsin made the tournament too. I don't know, man.
Wisconsin's analyzing that Purdue route, and they're like, well, we could just focus on basketball.
They're looking at the NIL funds. Like,
But
listen,
we
guys,
get this rev share somehow.
we need to
It's
have
time to move this towards basketball.
We could do some Zach Eady's over here. Y'all ain't got nothing going.
All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for us. So if you want to know how those final tiers shook out, Tier 1, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State. Tier 2, Michigan and Illinois. Tier 3, Iowa, Indiana, Minnesota, and USC. Tier 4, Nebraska, Washington, Wisconsin, and Rutgers. Tier 5, UCLA and Michigan State. And Tier 6, the basketball schools, Purdue, Maryland, and Northwestern. Anything final for the people on this episode of the Gopher Broke podcast?
Nah, man. Treat each other right. Be happy.
Stop, head coaches, stop walking down by the players where they're shooting and things like that.
Just stay in the box.
Anthony Smith,
Stay in your box.
Anthony Smith will officially lift the suspension as long as you don't touch this episode. Don't do that again.
Yep. That's it. He'll never hear this. You better not hear this. Suspended.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tapping in. Be sure to hit subscribe over on YouTube and tell friends about the show, retweet and all that. Zaquan Bryan, we are Zaquan Bryan Podcast. He retweeted the show recently. Shout out to him. Thank you for that, and we'll see you next time.